We are going to begin with some introductions. I would ask you to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, tell us how important this gathering is, this conference is, Diplomatic Week, to you. And after that, the press is going to ask you some questions. We are going to begin with my friend here who is busy writing. Tell us who you are.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Marie Legault. I am the Canadian High Commissioner to St. Kitts and Nevis. I've been High Commissioner to St. Kitts and Nevis for almost 3 years now. It is a very important relationship. You asked me how important this is. It is a very important relationship. I've been here many times. I'm not resident here, but I do come to St. Kitts and Nevis very often. And I would like to commend the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for organizing this week. It's extremely interesting and useful, not only to meet all foreign colleagues and exchange with them, but also all colleagues from St. Kitts and Nevis and exchange about views. So I would like to thank the government of St. Kitts and Nevis for this. Thank you.
Yes, good morning to everyone. My name is Ingrid Mollestad. I'm Norway's ambassador to St. Kitts and Nevis, also to the other Caribbean islands and CARICOM and the Organization of East Caribbean States very soon, hopefully. I am based in Havana, Cuba, so unfortunately I don't get to travel that often to St. Kitts. And this is also why I would like to compliment the organizers and of course the Foreign Minister and the Prime Minister for allowing us to come here and be introduced to so many important dimensions of the politics of St. Kitts and Nevis. And I do think that the theme of strategic diplomacy and effective dialogue is a wonderful one. We live in challenging times, and diplomacy, multilateral diplomacy, is more important than ever. So this is really an opportunity that we do value a lot. For Norway, big ocean state, relatively small country, it's also important for me to say that we have a strategic interest in developing our cooperation with St. Kitts and Nevis and with the region. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ambassador Nguyen Trung Thanh from Vietnam. This is my first ever trip to St. Kitts and Nevis, and I think with my wife and my counselor, we are the ones of a very few Vietnamese in this large ocean state, if you want to call it, and congratulate on your island nation for your development, for the beauty that nature endowed to, but most of all for your inspiration, for your will to stay the course for your development and for asserting your unique role in the Caribbean, in the region around and in the world. And for me, I can only have 2 words to say: I am impressed and inspired. Congratulations. Felicidades.
Good morning. I am Linda Tayala. I have been the American ambassador to Barbados, the Eastern Caribbean, and the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States for a little over 3 years. I have enjoyed warm and generous relationships with the islands here in the Caribbean, and I particularly want to commend St. Kitts and Nevis, the government and the people, for a wonderful week, being able to share and collaborate on issues of importance to all of us, and also for an opportunity to share with my diplomatic colleagues from around the world.
Good morning. I am Gențiana Șerbu, the Romanian ambassador. I'm based in Cuba, and I have presented my credentials last year in October. So being here in such a short time shows the interest of Romania for developing our relationships. So we share entirely the the concept of this meeting organized very successfully by St. Kitts and Nevis authorities, and I want to congratulate them for this organization and for the idea. The resilience is extremely important. From our side, we do what we can to promote and to support St. Kitts and Nevis in this building of resilience, and not only this beautiful island, but also other islands from CARICOM, from Caribbeans. And we want to work together on different levels, multilateral, regional, and also bilateral. And this has started already and will continue. Thank you so much.
I'm Priyo Iswanto, Ambassador of the Republic of Indonesia to St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm based in Bogota, Colombia. This is my 8th travel to this country within my 2 years of tenure. And I'd like, first of all, to second the ambassadors to congratulate the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Aviation of St. Kitts and Nevis for organizing this excellent diplomatic week. We consider that this event is of strategic importance to us because it gives us opportunity to meet, to mingle with other ministers, officials, governmental officials, private sectors, and also other diplomats from foreign countries, and also diplomats of St. Kitts and Nevis, which enable us to make a better connection, also sharing ideas of views to formulate at least in the way forward to strengthen our cooperation. St. Kitts and Nevis is of importance to us because we are geographically separated far away, and we need to make our people to know each other better. And that's why in this occasion I'd like to thank the government of St. Kitts and Nevis that since February this year we visa each other, and this is one way to facilitate our people to visit more frequently in the future. St. Kitts and Nevis is our friend in the multilateral affairs, and we are closely cooperating in the international organization. Of course, finally, I'd like to share here that in the concrete proposal, yesterday I shared a few to share our best practices as a way to share building up resilience in the future for St. Kitts and Nevis, because Indonesia is an archipelagic state, and St. Kitts and Nevis is also an island state. We have similar problems, we have similar challenges, and we have also our best practices, and we are looking forward to sharing the best practices as a way to build up our resilience. Thank you very much.
My name is Linda Sobehali. I'm the ambassador of the State of Palestine. I'm here for my second trip. The first one, it was with my foreign minister, seeking recognitions of the state and St. Kitts. This is my second time, and I'm really thankful for this invitation. It gave me the opportunity to mingle, to know, and to talk with the government, to explain a little bit about the challenges that we in Palestine live on a daily basis. Also, at the same time, with a smaller country and being so successful as St. Kitts, we wanted to come, invest, and share experiences. Our PICA, which is Palestine International Cooperation Agency, is working and been working in the Caribbean, and we are intending to work also very quickly in St. Kitts. I'm based in Venezuela. I oversee the Caribbean and the Caribbean organizations, and very soon the CARICOM. I'm very thankful for the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. I am very amazed also to see all the ministers, the foreign minister, the prime minister, spending so much time with us. And I want to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs for this wonderful and excellent organization of this event. I've been as a chief of staff in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I know how much and all what it takes to put such an event in place. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michelle Callas and I'm head of the Political Network at the British High Commission in Bridgetown, Barbados. I would like to thank the Government of St Kitts and Nevis for their invitation to what is my first diplomatic week. I'm very excited to be here and feel very honoured. And I'd also like to thank the Government of St Kitts and Nevis for the excellent work and efforts that has gone into planning and delivering such an excellent event. So thank you.
I would now invite the media who are here to ask their questions.
Andre Huey, SKN Newsline. A question to the U.S. Ambassador. Ambassador, of course, you are aware of the situation, political and humanitarian situation in Venezuela. And countries in the Caribbean have had more or less been trying to broker a peace deal, so to speak, with the situation there. With the position taken by the CARICOM organization to seek a peaceful resolution to the matter, what is the U.S. position on that? And is it still a position of a removal or rather a stepping down of the current president, Nicolas Maduro?
The United States wants nothing more than peace in Venezuela. We would like to see it return to a prosperous democracy. The United States, along with numerous other governments, has worked together to try to bring that resolution to fruition. The United States would love nothing more than to see a free and transparent election. We have been working with a number of governments around the world to try to bring that to come to pass. We continue to work with the opposition as well as the other nations to see what can be done to make this happen. The United States would very much like to see peace in Venezuela. We would like to see the people have food, medicine, electricity, and security. We will continue to push within the international arena to make that happen.
As a follow-up to that, there are some who have been very critical of the U.S. in terms of its approach, and there are many who, the Venezuelan government actually has said that the sanctions, and particularly the money that has been withheld from the Venezuelan government, is actually part of the brunt, or the major part of the brunt of their economic situation. How do you respond to this and to those who criticize the U.S. government?
The situation in Venezuela was created long before the United States placed any sanctions in place. More importantly, the United States has tried for the last 2 to 3 years to have dialogue with the people of Venezuela and to involve the international community. The United States continues to work with the international community. It is part of the Lima Group. It is working through the OAS, through the United Nations. It is not the United States working solely to make change happen. We found that dialogue has not worked. The United States, as part of its sovereign rights, has imposed sanctions on Venezuela. The sanctions were not meant and were not directed towards the people of Venezuela, but towards the government and the individuals responsible for the corruption in Venezuela. And we will continue to work to see if we can put some pressure on the Venezuelan government to act in some way, whether it is the opposition and the President Maduro sitting down and talking, whether it is having free elections, whether it is coming to some kind of a consensus where there is a resolution to how to resolve the problems in Venezuela.
German Abel, WinFM. I have a couple of questions, but I'm going to ask one first. In terms of Palestine and the representative here, how has the recognition or the policy changes by the U.S. government basically is affecting, or what impact it's having on Palestine? And in terms of St. Kitts and Nevis' support, what sort of support have you guys seen being presented from St. Kitts and Nevis, basically?
First of all, St. Kitts and Nevis has always been voting on our favor in UNESCO, in General Assembly, in any resolution that supports the freedom and peace in Palestine. St. Kitts has always been next to us. Yes, we are affected by the occupation, but at the same time, we're looking for two-state solution. We're looking for peace. we say peace is only the way. There is no way to peace. Peace is the only way. A two-state solution is what is needed in Palestine and Israel. That's my answer.
We have basically been seeing the election results from Israel. What sort of impact you guys foresee that is going to have? That the policy, there's no policy change basically when it comes to the government level, because we see Netanyahu is basically returning as the president.
The election in Israel will only affect the Israeli people. We in Palestine are looking for our sovereign state. We are looking for our viable state. We are looking for peace. So the election in Israel will only affect the policies inside Israel, not with Palestine. I don't think an election in another state will affect us in any means.
There's no, long story short, there's no plan in the foreseeable future, in the short term, to deal with the problem in terms of the UK coming up with a solution. In terms of the region, what sort of plan is there in terms of, because we know there are going to be repercussions coming out from the UK basically leaving the Union. What sort of plan is there from the UK basically, or Britain, to deal with the fallout for the small countries in the region, especially the overseas territories?
So I think future planning is one that remains to be seen. At the moment, the Prime Minister is committed to delivering the results of the referendum and is currently seeking an extension to allow the UK to leave the EU in a timely and orderly fashion. What we do have positively is that last month the UK and CARIFORUM signed the Economic Partnership Agreement, which allows businesses across the Caribbean to continue to trade without additional barriers and tariffs once the UK leaves the EU.
This is really general to anyone at the panel. What are some of the specific, and I know you spoke in general terms, about the benefits of the diplomatic ties with St. Kitts and Nevis, but what specifically are some of the things that you hope to achieve or looking in the future between St. Kitts and Nevis? What would you benefit from St. Kitts and Nevis, and what do you hope St. Kitts and Nevis will benefit from you and your nation as a result? Anyone could answer that, really.
We find it thoroughly very useful. But first of all, we congratulate St. Kitts and Nevis for having this very successful diplomatic week, and it's a very beneficial exercise for efficiency of time and getting and pulling the resources and the ideas together. And given the limited resources, human resources, and of your country, a small country like yours, and so having this initiative is extremely successful. And the theme of this seminar, of this week, is extremely relevant. And you can see the two-way traffic there. From your own country, the insightful and instructive statement by the Prime Minister, by the Foreign Ministers, and the speakers on the panels, distinguished panels, but also the interventions from the floor. I think this is excellent. And then, therefore, we can not only contributed to the success of the week, but we also draw benefits, enormous benefits from it. And we also see how we would be of help to St. Kitts and Nevis to work with you, to strengthen the relations bilaterally and multilaterally, working with you to build up the resilience and secure a worthy, deserved position of St. Kitts in the international community, promoting multilateralism in the very great words of the Prime Minister, and therefore you can see countries like Vietnam and many other countries here as natural partners for upholding international law and multilateralism. And second, we also see many ideas on how we can work with you on the bilateral ground. For example, the Foreign Minister said the Vietnamese have excellent expertise in shrimp farming that produce shrimps and exporting to the high demanding markets of the United States and the European Union, Japan and other countries. And here Vietnam would be a potential and very profitable and beneficial partner for St. Kitts and Nevis. Among other areas, tourism is another prime area that we can look at very practically to promote it in the future.
Basically, this summer, the UK government will be opening 3 new British High Commissions in the Eastern Caribbean, in Antigua and Barbuda, Grenada and St. Vincent. I understand the disappointment that there won't be one in St. Kitts and Nevis, but our office in Antigua and Barbuda does bring us closer to St. Kitts and Nevis. It allows us to further focus and strengthen our relationship with St. Kitts and Nevis because this country is important to us. And that was demonstrated recently by the visit of His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall. And on that, I would like to thank the government for putting on such an excellent visit, which I know that the royal couple really and thoroughly enjoyed. So thank you.
This diplomatic week gave us an opportunity to identify more potentials in this country and also opportunity to build up networking, because diplomacy means building up networking with stakeholders. So this is very opportune that we have been invited in the diplomatic week. And again, as I told in my introduction, besides having identified the potentials, so we can create or maybe exchange of views with other colleagues, the friends, in order to frame our ideas or maybe to inspire our ideas. And at least as my colleague, Ambassador Vietnam, told that listening to the instructive message by the Prime Minister, we also be able to get to know the vision and mission of the government at least for the next 3 years. And it is also important for us to frame our policy and to decide how to make a decision to strengthen our bilateral cooperation. Thank you.
I think that we cannot sit in this panel without addressing the issue of climate change, which is such an important reality in this region and for small island developing states in general. And Norway thinks that small island developing states, including in this region, are paying a far too high price for emissions, primarily from other parts of the world. So I just wanted to highlight that from Norway's perspective, and we have already committed about $600 million to the Green Climate Fund, which is an important source for financing for small island developing states, including for you. So Norway would be a big multilateral actor in the field of both climate change and the blue economy. And I think that nothing matches, nothing is as important as being on the ground and seeing the challenges and talking to decision makers in these small countries to bring that reality back home to our decision makers. And this is the role of an ambassador here, is to be that bridge between the reality here and home, and to continue to secure that these priorities are kept up. And we are, Norway is, for example, also the biggest contributor to the Samoa midterm review, to the AOC Secretariat in New York. So this is, for us, an extremely important policy priority. And St. Kitts and Nevis is one country, but it's also part of a bigger number of countries with similar and same strategic interests. And I think that is extremely important. And this is also why this, the importance of these meetings go beyond maybe a bilateral cooperation or bilateral approach. It's really part of a much, much bigger picture of global challenges and global answers to these challenges. And this is where this week fits so nicely into the global picture. Thank you.
We have a number of key representatives here worldwide, but 3 issues came to mind for me. One, but Norway touched on one of them. That has to do with basically climate change. We would have been seeing what is happening in the region, basically in the Caribbean, not only St. Kitts and Nevis, when it comes to climate change. Hurricanes, Category 5, and so forth. But in terms of the US representative here, we've been seeing a number of policy changes over the last year and a half, from your president specifically, when it comes to the issue of climate change. can you just address where the US is when it comes to the issue of climate change, as well as we have Romanian and some other European representatives here. The issue of blacklisting comes to mind. St. Kitts and Nevis was blacklisted. Some other countries in the region have been blacklisted. What more can you guys, as European representatives, do to assist the region to not basically be on that list, regardless if we've been seeing it point blank. We've been seeing policy changes, we've been seeing legislative changes being made, but year in, year out, countries are still being blacklisted, basically. So what more can we see you guys do in that regard, as well as the issue of crime? I mean, any one of you guys can touch this. The issue of crime, what more can we see your countries doing to assist the region, St. Kitts and Nevis, when it comes to the issue of crime?
The United States perspective on climate change. We have changed our view on the agreements that are in Paris, but we still look to determine what the impact of climate change is, or what the resilience, climate resilience, disaster resilience. Right now in Washington, D.C., or in Miami, they're holding a conference to talk about natural disasters. How do we prepare for them? How do we build resilience to them? We continue to look for ways to deal with the impact of changing seasons, changing weather, particularly in places like the Caribbean, which are affected by a number of natural climate issues, whether they're hurricanes, tornadoes, volcanic action, even earthquakes. So it is something the United States continues to focus on. It continues to revise and look at the policies that we stand for, and at the same time figure out ways that we can help countries like the Caribbean states to prepare better for any kind of activity that may happen.
Regarding what is the benefit of our bilateral relation, and the impact for St. Kitts and Nevis and also for Romania, I will tell you one thing, and it's extremely important. The fact that I was here in October, that I had the opportunity to present my credentials and to discuss with your leaders, starting with His Honorable Governor General, and with the Prime Minister, with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I had the opportunity to understand the issue of the taxation, which is not very well understood in EU, within EU. So to know the situation of the field was an opportunity for me to transfer the knowledge, to transfer a message to Bucharest, and to have in our position as EU chairmanship, we have the chairmanship of EU now, to have a clear idea what happens on the field. And this is our position. It's to reflect in the use decisions the reality on the field. And this is a process, ongoing process. It's not an easy one. It has started 2 years ago, this situation, and with the blacklisting. And it's not enough time if you take into consideration the bureaucratic system that we have within EU and the different national positions. So we have to build up a team, and we are working this with your ambassador in Brussels, with our colleagues here in the Commission, in TAXUD, and with different actors. So it is an ongoing process. It is not an easy one, but we have to believe in the good and to have the good faith. And this is very important, to reflect in the decisions of EU.
Climate change is another serious reminder of the very fact that no nation, no country is too large and no other nation is too small. The other day I woke up with a screen on my smartphone and I see the red dotted in the maps of the United States and say some of these cities would be disappearing if in the case of the rising sea level. And then that reminds me of Vietnam being deemed as one of the most vulnerable territories to the rising level of the sea. And therefore, we would see a great need for us here, small or big, we have the same fate. We are one, working together, and therefore you can see Vietnam working with with the world and with St. Kitts and Nevis. We share our experience, we share our knowledge, and we share in how we, with the forces together of the world, globally, and see how we can face the problems and work together to improve our preparedness and our resilience. So I agree, believe in yourself and believe in the world, and here you can have many countries across the globe, Vietnam as a prepared and willing partner of St. Kitts and Nevis and many other countries.
If I may just answer on the blacklisting as a member of the EU, obviously not for very much longer though. Obviously we understand the difficulties the blacklisting imposes on St. Kitts and Nevis. The question was about what can St. Kitts and Nevis do. We would encourage the government to continue engaging and working with the European Commission and by using diplomacy, which is a major theme of this week's event, to hopefully find a prompt resolution. And very finally, I'd just like to just thank having the questions being put by the media. Media freedom is of something of the utmost importance to the British government. The British government is working with the Canadian government to launch a campaign to defend and protect and promote the rights of journalists. We have appointed Amal Clooney as the special envoy, and later this year we'll be hosting an international conference on this very important issue. So again, thank you very much for being invited to answer your question.
In terms of climate change, we have extended concrete cooperation with St. Kitts and Nevis. Last year, we invited an expert from St. Kitts and Nevis to see what we have done to mitigate disasters. So it's a concrete cooperation. And also last year, we invited twice officials from the St. Kitts and Nevis to take part in the Archipelagic and Island State Forum. So we, Indonesia, together with 46 island states, supported by UNDP, set up a forum. We call it Archipelagic and Island State, where in the forum we exchange of views, ideas, how to mitigate the natural disasters because of the rise of sea level and others, flood and others because of climate change, and also how to collect resources to solve the problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for coming and participating in this press conference. Thank you very much for your responses, all your answers, and a very thank you to the press for the very penetrating questions that they asked. I hope you continue to enjoy Diplomatic Week, that you enjoy your trip to Nevis, which is the sister island. Have a very good day. Stay up to date with news, programs, and activities of the government with SKNIS. Like us on Facebook. Listen to us on SoundCloud. Follow us on Twitter. And watch our videos on YouTube. Connect with us today. SKNIS, St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service.